tie into our curriculum too and our programming. You know, like Joe said, you can use technology into it. You don't have to use technology into it. I like to find a lot of different things where you can use technology, or hey, it could be no tech, completely low tech or no tech. But let's just talk about that curriculum now. You know, how can we improve the way it's planned and delivered in the school and the world today? And what is the role of curriculum at PE? What do you guys think about some of those topics? I think we've hit it as we were talking about, you know, some of our instructional models too, and I think those kind of tie in together.
I like what Naomi said earlier about, you know, what is the big picture here? What do we want our students to remember in 40 years' time? Because, you know, really in the grand scheme of things, we don't have them for very long. We don't have our kids for very long, either, you know, within the course of a day or the course of the school year or the course of, you know, their school life. But that's the only time we have to make that impact. So thinking about that as the overall thing, you know, what tools do they need to move from one level to the next level, you know, to exit hopefully knowing what they need to do to look after themselves for the rest of their lives, and at each stage of their lives as well, because things are going to change. What you're doing when you're 20 is might be different than what you're doing when you're 40 or 50 or 60. So
I think that's exactly what Joe had kind of talked about before too. You know, what percentage of people are going to continue to play basketball and football and you know, all those team sports afterwards? What can you teach of those lifelong activities? Like you say, that they're going to be doing when they're 30, when they're going to be doing when they're 40. So continuing to offer those choices and teach them about those things, so you know they can make a good choice.
Definitely.
But again, I guess going a little bit further back is making sure the fundamentals, the basics are there, because without the fundamentals, you know, they work through elementary on upwards, they won't be able to access some of those things in the future. I think sometimes that can get neglected as well. You know, every part of our curricular sequence, it's a stepping stone to the next level up. You know, where we start from pre-K level or our early childhood level to a kindergarten and beyond, we want to make sure all those steps are taken and that the students can progress. So whatever level we're at, they are going to be able to access the curriculum that we're giving to them at whatever level that they're at. Does that make sense?
Yes, it sure does. You know, and one of the questions Andy asked was, what can we do if our curriculum that we are mandated to teach does not align with the values and goals of real PE? I don't know. I like to be as creative as possible, and I think there may be some schools that have older curriculums or have an old school model of just sport PE, and I think that there are ways to integrate the technology, you know, like, you know, so if you are doing a volleyball unit and that is still very much a part of your curriculum, like Joe said, put the heart rate monitors on them and, you know, try as much as you can to move it and make it as up-to-date and current as you can. And this is just to help out anybody that might be using this as their learning target area. I think we lost Naomi there for a while.
I think we did.
And then another point is also, many other teachers think we are prep providers. So I think also to share our curriculum with them.
Yeah.
You know, after a bout of exercise, the blood volume doubles to the brain. So what we do is important for them. You know, the more they see us, the more focus and the better test scores they're going to have in their classrooms. So it is important for them to have PE every day if we can get that.
Yeah.
So we need to share our curriculum with whoever we can.
Yep.
Good point. Tying everything together, and I think Joe, I've seen you do some maths lessons too. You know, where you're incorporating math. Yeah, where you're incorporating math into it, and you know, having that out there is just fantastic too. Just to see that, you know, so the kids can see that everything's lined up.
Yeah, I'm quite envious of elementary and middle school levels where I think you have more opportunities to really get that cross-curricular links in, because you know what your second graders are doing, and you know what maybe less at middle school because they are starting to kind of move around a bit more. But I'd love the opportunity to really, work alongside science and math and English and so on to do that. So I love what I've seen of what Joe's been doing, and yeah, it's awesome.
That's great.
I think one of the things that we really need to focus on too is, as I see us kind of sitting here, we've got our elementary, we've got our middle, and our high school, and how are the three of us working together, and how are the three of us aligning things? So, like maybe Joe had talked about, so as someone develops in kindergarten, how do we move them all the way through the system, and how do we make sure that we are staying on the same page and continuing that development, and whether it be the knowledge coming into, in my son's seventh grade, what knowledge do they have coming in, and how often are we talking as physical educators about what are the most important concepts to know, and those types of things too. So yeah, just kind of continuing that developmental process along the way, the scope and sequence.